In a world where two short-term rental bros come together.
What?
Not in that way, bro. There's a podcast of truly epic proportions where we talk about all things short-term rental and shoot the shit along the way. Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast. Here are your hosts, Matt Codd and Austin Spitz.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Co-Host Bros Podcast. My name is Matt Codd, and I'm here with my good buddy A to the S to the T to the I to the SPITZ. I almost did it. That's what I was thinking about last night when I was telling you offline. Long story, everybody. We're not going to talk about that, but today we have a new guest, and his name is Matt Sanderson. He is a short-term rental owner and operator. He also the co-founder of StrIQ, and he's going to explain to you what it does and his journey and how he can help you find a new property based on cash return, right? So what's up, Mr. Sanderson? Let's talk about it, and let's just, let's dive in.
Hey guys. Well, thanks for having me on. I think we already talked about a ton of this before we've been recorded. So hopefully we still have a bunch left that we can talk about here.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Oops. Having too much fun.
Well, awesome, man. Super glad to have you on. If you want to start by letting, our listeners know, talk about your short-term rental journey and kind of how you got into the space of short-term rental investing yourself.
Perfect. Well, hey, thanks again, guys, for having me on. Once again, I'm Matt Sanderson. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of StrIQ. And man, it's been quite the ride. So I'll tell you a little bit of my background and, kind of give some context and then get into where we are now. But essentially, I've been a commercial real estate broker for about 11 years now, and doing all sorts of different commercial real estate transactions in office, industrial, all around the country. And that's been really fun. But one thing I've done over the years is also start representing investors buying all sorts of different asset types of office, industrial, started helping people and even evaluating short-term rentals, just all sorts of different things. And I realized, I was like, man, I'm brokering all these transactions for these people, and they're, growing all their wealth, and I'm making, decent brokerage fees. But man, I want to be investing in this stuff. Like, why can't I, if I'm the one that they're going to go find this stuff? So then I think I was about 8 years into the business. And in 2020, that's when I said, enough's enough. I'm ready just to jump in. Fear is a big thing that holds a lot of people back. I was like, nope, I'm going to make it happen. I kind of spoke it out loud. I told my wife, we're going to start a company. We're going to call it AgCat Investments, whatever we want to call it. And so we created an LLC with the vision of we're going to buy a property. Didn't know where to start, but just said we were going to do it. And then from there, it's amazing what can happen if you just speak it out loud and go pursue it. Because about 6 or 7 months later is when we found our first property in Fredericksburg, Texas. So close to you, Austin, the Hill Country, where a lot of your property management stuff is, and or your co-hosting stuff is. And it was a 60% cash on cash return, was making about $2,000 a month in cash flow. And I say that was the property that changed my life. And, my co-founder Tamer jokes all the time, like, did it really change your life? And I'm like, actually it did, because it opened my eyes to, man, just how awesome this asset type is. And really it can provide financial freedom for people if you really dive in and accelerate your wealth through it. So instead of having to get 100 doors and long-term rentals, I mean, you can really achieve financial freedom even with 5 to 10 properties. And so that's what really got me excited about it, which started in 2020. And then now here we are. I've got about 4 short-term rentals. We started StrIQ as the technology company to help people acquire and evaluate these properties, and excited to be all in on this industry.
That's awesome. Nice. So did you start StrIQ for yourself, or did you start it for you and, your co-founders, Tamer, and your friends, or what was the reason you started it?
Well, I mean, you guys probably feel the same pain I did, and many of your listeners are probably feeling this pain. So my journey, when I bought this property in Fredericksburg, when I was like, I'm going to do this, where did I start? Well, looking at different podcasts like you guys to try to learn, was going to the MLS, going to revenue providers like AirDNA or other providers out there, and then trying to find a spreadsheet or come up with my own spreadsheet to like run all these numbers. And it was showing like negative 30% cash on cash return for a lot of these properties. I was just spinning my wheels of just time and energy. And I was just getting so frustrated. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to integrate all this stuff together. I was like, what if you could just pull in the MLS and then pull in a trusted revenue source and underwrite that deal, but instead of just one at a time, like what if you just did it for every single property in Canyon Lake or Texas? Or if you can do that, like why not the entire country? And then literally create your buy box on your filter to exactly what you want, and then let the data just be revealed to you. So that was the idea 2.5 years ago. And I'd never built software before. And so I wrote the idea on a napkin and I gave it to one of my co-founders, Brendan. And I was like, hey, you think we could do this? And he's like, yeah. I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, we can do it. So we took it to a developer, started talking to him on doing like a prototype MVP. Meanwhile, me and my other co-founder, Tamer, he's been trying to solve this problem too. And we were talking about all these other ideas because he's doing a lot in like artificial intelligence, big data models. And so that's when we're like, man, let's combine forces because we think there's a huge opportunity here because this is a massive problem that we're facing, but so many other people are facing. If we can solve it for us, we can help solve it for so many others. So that's how StrIQ came about.
So how did you specifically solve it for you? Like, how have you used this application to better yourself? Like, have you bought properties doing this, or like, how has this product helped you personally?
Yeah. So it originally really started helping with like the underwriting because right now most investors got a spreadsheet and you manually type everything in. So the way it started was just a really fancy calculator where it was just underwriting super fast. Then we started to pull in the MLS and the revenue to where it was all automated. And when that happened, we've been working on this about 2.5, almost 3 years. We officially launched beta to the public in November of last year. And yeah, I've got a couple of cool case studies. So when we launched in November, I thought, well, I need to buy a property because I want to accelerate my portfolio and I need tax write-offs. So many people are probably experiencing that same thing right now because it's almost at the end of the year. Bonus depreciation is about to go down from 60% to 40%. So now's a good time to buy. So I was facing that last year and I just literally pulled up the app. I typed in, I want to find a property over 20% cash on cash return, anything over 100,000 in revenue, and anything under $1 million. And all of a sudden, a bunch of green bubbles popped up in Texas. And I zoomed in on College Station, and there's about 5 properties that popped up that because all the others went away. And there was one that I clicked on and I showed it to my wife and she goes, oh my gosh, there is something special about that. So we went in and essentially it was showing like over $120,000 in potential revenue on this house that was listed for under 500,000. And because the app has all the data already integrated, we just literally within seconds went through the entire underwriting and it showed basically 30 to 50% cash on cash return with $50,000 in net income. And I found it in 2 minutes. And so because of that, I was like, let's do this thing. Went under contract the next day, closed in less than 45 days. So that's the power of like what this can do. And I'm kind of speaking my own language here of I'm actually purchasing properties with the technology we've built.
So people are going to say, okay, so when did you buy it and what are you on track to do? Are you on track to make what it says? Are you on track to break the number? Or because I know you opened it up recently. I've seen a lot of your videos and, it's in the Aggie land. So
I'll get all Aggie land.
I know you're doing good on the weekends for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some results because you're right. When I first bought it, it was like a prayer of like, please, Lord, let this property do good, for the sake of the company and my soul. So thankfully now I've got results. So we launched in August, right before Notre Dame. We made $4,000 for Notre Dame weekend for 2 nights. We've made a booking for $12,000 for UT A&M. And most of our other weekends we have booked are somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000, averaging probably $2,500 a weekend up to $3,000 a weekend. And so we've been on the market for less than 60 days and already have $40,000 in booked revenue. So that's that's kind of the results that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, so I've seen the property on social media and it's super awesome. So I guess my question to you is like, if I was looking at your property, I would think it would be one of the top performing properties in the market based off of amenities, designs, things that you added to it, making it very A&M-ish and just doing all the cool stuff that everybody wants in their vacation rental. Where was I going with this? Oh, does the app does it have tiers based on this? Because, Matt, like, how do I know? Like, I was going to buy a short-term rental, but I wasn't going to do it as good as you. So how do I know that I'm going to make as much money as you? Because you've got all these stacked amenities. So does the app have some kind of feature to where I can kind of weed out or have some kind of comparables and stuff like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Does
no,
that kind of
that's
make sense a little bit?
really good question because and we do some partnership stuff with AirDNA too. So they're a great company. And so the one thing to recognize about AirDNA versus us, AirDNA provides an average revenue for every property out there. Well, some owners may be better than average, some may be worse than average, but a lot are kind of around average. So for me, I knew I wanted to be better than average, and I wanted to see what the data would tell me if I could be better than average. So what we did is we used the app to really identify the property quickly. Again, like less than 2 minutes. Now, what we did to really figure out justification behind the revenues we think we could make is then we went to our comps dashboard that we have now released to the public. And now what this shows, it's really cool. It's a comps dashboard. So imagine, you're trying to sell your house. Your real estate agent will go out and do something called a CMA, competitive market analysis. They'll get comps of all these homes that sold, and they'll tell you, hey, Austin or Matt, I think you can sell your house for 500,000 based on these 10 comps that justify this price per square foot. Well, in the same way, we're doing that with revenue. We go out, we've got this recipe that's made for this property location, and we say, hey, based on these 100 comps or 50 comps or 20 comps around your property, based on your bedroom count, guest count, and bathroom count, we think you could make this amount of revenue. And so what's cool is we say, as an example, my College Station property, it said, if you were an average property, the 50th percentile, you can make 74,000 in revenue, I think is what it said. But if you were to hit the 75th percentile, you could make 100,000 in revenue. But if you're the top 90th percentile, you can make 120 to 130,000. And the top 1%, I think the comp was like 170,000. So when I bought this, I was like, you know what? Like $485,000 house. It was an old like college kid house, 5 bedrooms with a close to campus. I'm like, let's go deck this thing out and just try to hit that top 90%. So we did. We spent 120,000. We put in a turf all around, putting green, fire pit, hot tub, extended the slab out for like a nice eating area, hangout place for the family, outdoor games, murals everywhere. So we've got like really cool Aggie ring murals. That's all like, tailored to what people love on the campus. And now I think we're on track towards that upper 90th percentile. And that's how we're priced in Price Labs on these automated pricing tools. And we're getting booked to those rates. So I feel like I've got validation now that we are going to be able to hit that 90th percentile. And if you look at the comps dashboard, you can actually see your competition visually. And so I know for a fact that there's hardly any other groups out there, maybe besides Rob Built, that has a property like ours in College Station, because most people just throw up like A&M flags or whatever and don't really deck it out. And so for now, we are, I think, at the top 90th.
It seems like you're on pace for that. For sure. Isn't that the second house you bought through the program you created?
So
Did you buy two?
That was our first one, and then we bought another one in Canyon Lake, and that one was fun because I actually got to talk to Austin quite a bit about that, and just get your recommendations even as I was going
I'm
through it.
curious. You can expose me. Were my numbers off? Because I don't even remember that the house. I've seen the house, and I remember I quoted you, but maybe I was under on how the property's performing. You can go ahead and put me on blast.
Yeah, I think you
Blast
were
'em.
saying like 50 to 60,000 or something for that one.
Go ahead, hit me with it.
Or what were you thinking on it?
No, I think I thought I said like 70 to 80, but I could be
Okay,
wrong.
yeah.
If it was a
Absolutely
good
covered a little
property,
more.
I think he probably said 70 to 80.
But
So
here's the thing though. Here's the thing though. This is before it doesn't have a cowboy pool or something like that, or
we've
hot
got
tub
well, we
maybe.
do have it. We haven't installed it yet.
I don't know. I don't remember. I remember because the house is done and listed, right?
It's what?
It's done and listed, like it's
Yeah.
listed and it's an active STR, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because I remember seeing it, and when you were doing it, you did like the mural and stuff, and there was a bunch of stuff. So I feel like I might have
This is
underdone
gonna
it.
be an epic moment. I can't wait.
Hey guys,
Or was I on the money?
Austin knows his stuff, baby. He's on the money. So hey, it's true. I mean, you know your market well. So I think so what the app told me when we were looking, again, I put in my filters and then the bubbles popped up. I think it showed like 15 to 20% cash on cash return. So it wasn't like the craziest property ever. Um, but when I saw it, it was priced at 520,000 and it had really cool views of the canyon. So not lake views, but like really cool, like hill country canyon views with the fire pit. That was like the epic kind of thing. Bill Faith talks all about like, there's like one picture that will like really make your property or not. And you can just know, like I saw that picture and was like, this is it. And so the 50th percentile was showing probably closer to like 50,000. The 75th percentile was actually showing closer to like 70 to 80, and the upper 90th was showing probably closer to like 90, 100,000 or more. So I think we have potential to hit 90 to 100, but it would require we have to put in the, cowboy pool. We have to do some like really cool amenities, and we've got to deck out the space. And I bought this property with my father-in-law, so we just haven't invested the capital yet to hit that. So we're actually right in line with like the 75th percentile. So we upgraded the amenities. We put in a hot tub. We made the fire pit area really epic, like picture perfect. And so we've done the things we need to, but it's funny, if you only try to get to the 75th percentile, you're probably only going to get those results. So if we tried harder, we could probably get to that upper, but the results are pretty in line with what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it was like I was looking at it as the house as is because it was an existing listing, and I was like, well, this way probably 50 to 60, and then deck it out if you did it your way, maybe in the closer to 70, 80 range. So
Yeah.
good. I'm not going out there spewing bullshit. I guess my numbers are close enough
You
to
know
what
your
I'm
stuff.
telling people out there. So there we go.
Yeah.
That's reassuring there. But
But yeah,
yeah,
that's where
so
like, a lot
go
of
ahead.
your listeners, you've got to balance capital versus reward. And so in order to get to that 90th percentile, like we'd probably have to go hire Funkit Interiors or Summerled or some other group to like really, invest in the things that they really know how to do it and what they're best at. But the question for me is, am I willing to spend like an extra 100 grand just to get an extra 10,000 or whatever, or 20,000 per year? Maybe. But right now we're just not ready for it. But we know at any point in the future, we could invest that capital and get a higher return if we wanted to.
Yeah, and I think with the property tax in Texas too, it's makes it a little tougher in certain spots.
Yeah.
I kind of want to explain to everybody, and this is how I describe the app, the StrIQ app. To me, it's like the Zillow of cash on cash. That's the way I see it. It's not like you see the data, but it's easier to digest. You're not messing with spreadsheets really. Tamer gave us a demo and he showed me that you guys had a performa feature. He said you were going to implement it. Not sure if you did yet.
Yeah.
I think it's super user friendly, and it's pretty amazing. And I would check it out. I mean, the demo I got was freaking ridiculous. So are you planning on buying another property through it anytime soon?
Hey, well, it's funny. My wife, before we even made this, literally would send me properties like every day on Zillow. And now that we
That's my
built this,
wife.
yeah, now that we built this, like every day she's sending me properties on StrIQ app. And I'm like, I want to buy it. We just need the capital.
Right,
So
right.
anyway, I mean, if I'm being very honest, I've sunk all my capital into this company for the most part and the other properties we have. So we've invested heavily into the technology and the software and the data to provide value to, I mean, us, but for everyone listening. So now I'm trying to build that arsenal back up to actually go invest into properties. But I mean, we're literally finding properties every day. So if anyone wants to partner up, let me know.
For sure, man. So, I guess, so would you say the ideal avatar for the person that you guys service is a real estate investor, a short-term rental specific real estate investor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have, I think with the Co-host Bros podcast, I think the majority of our listeners are into the property management, short-term rentals in some way, shape, or form. So my question is, how can I use this as a property manager to my advantage?
Yeah. Yeah, no, great question because when we built it originally for investors, right? I was building it for myself, which I'm also a broker. And so when we went to STR Wealth, people were coming by our booth all the time and we got investors coming by, but a lot of the people that came by were you guys, property managers and co-hosts, and they like their eyes were like lit up and they're like, "Oh my gosh, wait, so you're telling me when my clients come to me and they want to analyze this property, like I can do this like instantly and automated and just send it to them over text or email like in seconds?" And I'm like, yeah. And so I think it's very simple use case. Like if you're a co-host or a property manager and you've got a bunch of properties or that you have under management or you're looking at for clients, I mean, you can literally run an analysis or underwriting on any property in the entire country, like within seconds. Now you need to
Yeah.
go verify some of that data, maybe with our comps dashboard to feel good about that 50th, 75th, or 90th percentile revenue to know where to guide that user. But at the very bare minimum, you could say the 50th percentile, which is average, and be more conservative. And you could spit those suckers out pretty fast.
And it's mostly from like a gross revenue perspective. Like all the outside factors are non-existent in this app. It's very simple to like just a revenue perspective. So it won't be like it won't have anything to do with like cleaning fees, expenses, stuff like that. The number that you're saying is a gross revenue perspective, right? Because a lot of times I get the question is like, okay, that tells me it's going to make $80,000, but then it's like, well, what if that is going to be cleaning fees taken out? What about this taken out? Expenses, lawn, whatever, whatever. Obviously, I'm sure that's way in the weeds and you don't do that, but that's something that I would just do like on my end when I'm putting it together and just be like, hey, factor in this much for cleaning to take out this much, this much. Because a lot of the times what I see is the owners are like, the gross revenue number is the language that we speak, right? Like we speak that language, but they're like, to them, they're like, well, I'm not actually going to make 80,000. So it's kind of deceptive. Does that kind of make sense?
We actually factor all that in for you. So it's
Oh, shit.
beautiful. So what we do is, so give me an example property that someone is wanting y'all to talk about or look at, or maybe a
Like an
market.
address?
Just, yeah, what's a market that you've got someone looking at right now?
We'll just say Canyon Lake because we've been talking about it. Yeah.
Okay, so Canyon Lake, someone comes to you, they say, "Hey, I've got a property here. I want you to maybe manage it for me. What do you think I can make?" Or, "Hey, I want to buy a property here in Canyon Lake. What do you think it can make?" So I'll just kind of, since a lot of this are going to be listeners versus visual, I'll just kind of help the listeners understand the really the guide of what they would be experiencing. So you click on the property as the co-host, it pulls up the property record, then it goes to the underwriting of that property. And so if you already know the purchase price or if you're able to negotiate the purchase price, you can add that there. But then you've got revenue. We're going to show you the 50th percentile, the 75th percentile, and the 90th percentile. You as the co-host can decide which revenue you want to choose, or whatever revenue you want, anywhere in between there or less. So we're going to show it, but then you can customize it based on what you feel is good based on your local market knowledge. Then it goes into actual expenses. So it'll show capital expenses like furniture and renovations, and then it'll show reoccurring expenses. So this is where cleaning fees, we already pre-populate that for the user. We show CTA fees like Airbnb fees, VRBO fees, property management fees or co-host fees, which those are all customizable, taxes, insurance, all that's added in. Then it goes to the financing page, and we already pre-populate it with 20% down based on interest rates between 7 and 8%. But that can be tweaked as well. If you want to do a second home loan at 10% or whatever. And then it spits out the final report, and it'll give you a high level metric like with a meter, and it'll say low, medium, high. And if it's in the high range, that means it's over 20% cash on cash return. And then if you're like, hey, I want to see the full detailed report, you click on the button, and then boom, you've got a 1-page detailed report that shows the property address, all the details from revenue, expenses, capital expenses, financing, all the way down to net cash flow. So again, you're able to do that in seconds almost. And then there's a export feature where literally you can just send that property via email or text to anyone you want to send it to. And that's, property managers can use it, brokers can use it, investors. So it just kind of depends on, who's using it and why.
I've used it, and in my use case, it came pretty close to my performa. So I ran a performa, and then Tamer did a demo for us on it, and it wasn't off by much. But I think I was shooting for the 75%, and I think at the time it just did the average, which was like the 50th percent, and it was like maybe 1%, 2% difference. With everything factored in. And then I asked him about that as well, and he pulled that page up and he said, look, this is, it's taking the average interest rate for the mortgage right now, this based on public data and the data that's available. And obviously with data, with everybody, it may be off a little bit. It may be off in your favor. It may not be off in your favor. But I mean, if you look at it the way, that if you pick up something with 25% cash on cash return, I mean, the likelihood of you going under 20 is slim to none, right? Because you guys are pretty good with your program and the data. So, and you guys pretty much pride yourself on getting good data, right? I mean, that's from what I can see. Yeah. So how many markets are you open in the United States? I know that last time we talked, probably about 6-7 months ago, you guys were adding new markets, new states, I think, to your program. So what markets are you guys available in now? Or what markets are you not available? The short list, right? So not available or available, whatever the short list is.
Yeah. So the comps dashboard, where you can get revenue information among just those different percentiles I was just talking about, is nationwide. So we've got the entire US for the comps dashboard. Now, so that's really great if you're trying to optimize your Airbnb, or even try to get a good understanding of what property you're looking to acquire, of what you could make above that 50th percent. So that's the comps dashboard. Now on the app itself, we've got about 30 to 40 MLSs. So over, close to probably like 1 million properties all throughout the US, in most of the key markets that STR investors are looking at. And if we don't have it, then they could request it and we could pull it in probably fairly quickly. And so, we've got a lot of market coverage all across the US on the MLS side. And then on the revenue side, we've got nationwide coverage. So we're growing and expanding.
So at some point, the goal is to have every MLS, right? Is that the goal? Or are you just going to stay in key vacation markets? Because I know every time you add an MLS, it costs money, right? So you need to have subscribers and users to be able to, pay for that, right?
So we had to start, we bootstrapped this.
Hey, everybody, this is Matt from the Co-Host Bros podcast. I recently came back from a mastermind trip, and I spent a lot of time talking about taxes with Ryan Bakke. So Ryan normally took on clients that had 10 plus listings. Well, he created a brand new program where he's going to take on people between 1 and 10 listings for a lot cheaper at a small business owner price. It's going to include on-demand support, monthly calls, and tax prep. They're going to do little coaching calls monthly, things like that, to help you save as much money as possible on your taxes in the future, including on this year. Ryan has helped thousands of people save money, investors especially. And you really don't want to sleep on this, because I think the price will go up at some point. You're going to save far more money than you spend. If you're really interested in changing CPAs and finding something better, go ahead and click the link that I posted for you inside the show notes. Now we're going back to the show.
Company. So we had to start with some key markets. So, the Smoky Mountains and Asheville. And we've got Houston, we've got Austin, the hill country of Texas. We've got some parts of California. And anyway, the list goes on, just scattered out throughout the US, but it's targeted key markets that people are highly interested in. And then as we onboard more users, that actually helps us in our ecosystem, because as people are subscribing to the app, that helps us be able to go pay for more data to then go expand the MLSs. So anyway, it's an ecosystem where we're trying to help each other, because the more subscribers we get, the more data we're able to go after, which then in return gives more value to the users.
Yeah. So if I was just a user and I wanted to subscribe to your app, and I'll be using your app to find my, I want to get lakefront property. So I'll be using the app. Hopefully it'll be in the markets that I want. But if I were just a user off the street and say I wanted to use your app for a month, can I do that? Like, what's the variables that I can use your app for, besides obviously you probably do a year subscription, but what are my options?
Yeah. So, we've made it really easy. So if some people want to just test it out for a month, we've got a monthly subscription you can renew it or cancel it if you want to. We've also got quarterly and annual subscriptions. So if you do a quarterly or annual, it's a little bit cheaper, or actually not a little bit, it's a lot cheaper if you were to do something longer term. But what's going to be cool is we are about to come out with a new pricing structure to where essentially you can do a more flexible structure like quarterly or annual. But then you can also do tiers of, do I just want the app itself, or do I want the app and the comps dashboard? And so right now, if you subscribe to the app today, you would be getting the app and the comps dashboard for the full value package.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like what I would think would be the ideal setup for somebody would be that's like, if they're looking to buy a short-term rental, but they're looking to buy it now, they may not want to pay, they don't want an ongoing service for a whole year, but I need a month's worth. I'm going to make a decision quick, and I want to use your service, but I don't want to keep paying for it because I may not need it, because I'm only going to buy one short-term rental. But for a month, I want to use it because I can, analyze properties, right? So that's a key feature, I feel like. And then there's maybe like property managers that want to buy perhaps a year subscription, because no, we're going to use this regularly to analyze data. So that's great that you share that our listeners have different, pricing structures to accommodate different people that are using the app for,
Yeah, we want to make it flexible to just, for whoever the user is, to meet their needs and solve their certain problems. So some people just want it just for the acquisition and they're done. But some people want the acquisition and to be able to optimize their listing and be able to see how they compare to their competitors over time. So they may want something a little bit longer so that they can check in and see what their comp set looks like. Say, this property has a mural, or this one has a hot tub, or something, or cool design. They're getting interesting insights to help them push their revenues higher. But it just kind of depends on the user and what they're trying to solve for.
Yeah, so I just thought of something, Matt. Like, we wanted to do a demo in here, but with it being, on certain platforms, maybe we don't use video. We can, when we're done with Matt, maybe we could do like a demo at the end. So if you want,
I have an idea.
Watching,
I have an idea. What if we set up a live demo on, like, to run on Facebook and Instagram? Not right now, But
a
in
live
the future, we could just do a live stream and you can demo and people could jump in on our page and they can, ask questions or run properties, or we could just talk and you can show us and,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Maybe we can do something like that, Austin, if you're okay with that. I think that
Yeah, I
might be
think so.
beneficial. So maybe we'll do that somewhere
the use
after the
case
holidays.
for something like that, if we wanted to do it, I mean, people could essentially come on and just come prepared with any property in the country or any market, and we could literally in real time evaluate any market they're looking at or any property and do the full underwriting to see what the results look like in real time. So it could be pretty fun to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So offline, we'll discuss it and we'll figure out like a day and a time we want to do it and give us enough time. And then I'll create like an ad. I'm sorry, everybody. So that way everybody else who listens to it knows what's going to happen. And then they could jump on our live and then we can
Cool.
really just drive this thing home and just kind of show you guys what you're working with. What
I love it.
was there?
I think like if while we do it, another thought process of it is like we all have a lot of mutual connections in the space, short-term rental space. So
Yeah.
if like if we could talk about it offline, but we could go, you could link me and it'll go live on my Facebook. You could link Matt, it'll go live on his Facebook. So all of our
Yeah.
viewers, if you're a short-term rental investor and you scroll across my feed, it'd be like Austin's live and we're doing
Cool. I love it.
StrIQ stuff. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Cause I want to do one on here, but a lot of listeners are in the car and they're not gonna,
Yeah.
but we should set something up for sure.
I totally
I think
agree.
this is good enough to get them interested, though, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I think your guys' software is freaking amazing. It's nuts. I had a question, but then we started talking about the live stream and it messed me up. I forgot all about it. So, have any of your co-founders used it to find a property as well?
Yeah. So do you guys know Brendan very
Yeah,
well?
I do. Yeah, I know.
Okay,
Brendan. I met him a couple times.
Brendan is like one of the coolest case studies I've ever seen. So like he went from 0 properties to now I think he's got like 4 or 5. And then he's got now a co-hosting company as well where he's managing I think 10 or plus properties, and like this all happened in like 18 months or 12 to maybe 12 months. Something like a crazy time frame where I personally only have 4 properties and he went from like 0 to like over 10 properties. And like he attests to like StrIQ being really the catalyst for that because it helped him really understand and learn how to underwrite properties so that you do it right and so that you can get over any fear you have because you have so much more confidence before you execute. So that helped him as an investor, but then it also helped him grow his co-hosting business because now he can provide really great value to his clients with factual data and evidence versus just, hey, I'm really awesome, trust me. And he's like, no, hey, here's what I think your property can make and why, and here's all the data to support it. So anyway, he's been a really cool testimonial to what StrIQ's done for him personally. And yeah, I mean, we're just a couple of case studies among many that have been using the app. And I also helped someone acquire a property in Fredericksburg that we closed on 2 months ago. I'm helping someone close on a property in San Antonio probably in the next couple of months. And so the app is really, it's identifying and unveiling really great properties all over the place. Cause you guys probably get asked all the time, like, what markets are great? Or like, at the end of the day, there's profitable properties literally everywhere.
It's not the market.
It's how can you identify the needle in the haystack? That's the goal. Like it's almost like a magnifying, thing or like a magnet. Like how can you pull that to the top and really find it faster than anyone else? That's really what the app does. It takes away really the crap and it helps you focus on only what's the most valuable to seek out.
I got a wild one, and I don't know if this is true because, like, I don't know if you can answer this one because this is just like me just adding more and more to what the platform does. So if it doesn't have it, doesn't have it. What about this is a tough one too because, like, you'd mentioned Fredericksburg, right? So let's say Fredericksburg, you'd need an existing short-term rental permit in order to operate. So is there, because I don't even think on listings and stuff unless it's in the description because I'm looking to buy a property in Fredericksburg, but you have to have an existing permit and it might be listed in the listing. Some of them don't. You have to ask the realtor. So if it's pulling from the MLS, that may be something that you'd have to do your own due diligence on, whether it is STR permittable, or is that information available too? Because that would be a tough one to include. I don't know.
So what if the MLS had a checkbox that said STR permit, yes, no, or NA? And what if in that market, like Fredericksburg, you had to have a permit to actually do a short-term rental, and that was data that could be syndicated, pulled into the app, and then literally just filtered to where you could find those properties with permits? And the answer is
Wow.
yes, you can do that, and that's what we're going to do. So the reason why I know that is because I'm a broker. I'm a part of that MLS with Fredericksburg. And so I know for a fact that they've got STR permit buttons that brokers will press yes, no, NA. And I know I can syndicate that data and I can put it in my filter. So what we will build in, a soon release of our app is, you know, permit type restrictions. And so literally it would be so awesome to be able to just hover over that market, type in STR permit, boom, and then literally all the properties that don't fit that go away, and you only focus on the properties with permits. So that's one example of Fredericksburg. But like San Antonio, as an example, you've got to have a permit, but those don't transfer to new owners. You got to reapply. And so there's different regulations there than Fredericksburg. So we're working on regulations and being able to give insights into that within the app. We're just having to do it differently for different markets, depending on the situation.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. And then it's like, well, what happens if it says something, but it actually doesn't have it? Who's liable? Well, it's pulling from the MLS, so it's not really your fault,
Yeah.
or wherever you're getting that data from. But no, that's a good. But that's on other people. That's on people to do their due diligence. At the
Yeah,
end of
you
the
need
day.
to double check your shit, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, regardless,
that-
that's still on you. I mean, he's just a helping hand, right? It's
yeah,
like you
for
still
sure,
gotta
for
double
sure.
check your shit. Like,
Well, that's
don't
where
be a dummy.
yeah, well, that's where like the thing we haven't talked about yet is the StrIQ network. So we know we're a data company. We think we're one of the best in the space, and we think we'll continue to improve and get better. But at the end of the day, the entire US and eventually world is a very big place. And we as a team of less than 15 people, can't know everything about literally every place in the world. So
Absolutely.
that's why the network we're building is going to be even more important. So like we've got Strike verified co-hosts, Strike verified property managers, brokers, lenders, all these people that we're connecting with all throughout the country. And so
What's
imagine,
strike?
oh, what's Strike? My bad. That's this is my fun name for the company, man.
Oh,
Is it V-
STRIQ is what he meant, everybody.
StrIQ.
is it
Anyway,
is
if you
it
want to call us
VRBO
Strike,
or
you can. I
Verbo?
won't get upset. We
Sorry, had to.
we originally called it StrIQ because short terminal IQ, but someone had the idea. Maybe it was even Rob. It's like Strike sounds fun. So anyway, we started calling it that for fun, but it does make it confusing because people try to look us up with a K and can't find us on the internet. So that's why we're going by StrIQ for now.
Or
Uh,
find your booth with a K. That happened
yeah,
to me.
don't find the booth with the
Yeah.
K. But all that to say, that's why the network is so powerful because the app will help you get there within minutes, but then now you can reach out to Austin or Matt, who's an expert in Galveston or Crystal Beach. And if there's permit requirements there, they're like, hey, Matt, I found this property in Crystal Beach. I love it. It says $50,000 in net cash flow. Like, what do you think? And you're like, oh, well, it looks great, but you need to know this, this, or that. Or, hey, actually, it's great. Go for it. Here's what you need to do from a permit perspective, ready to rock and roll. So that's how we're working with our local partners to facilitate really successful transactions.
So, do you guys offer like a property finder service? Like, if I was like, I don't want to go through the data, I just want you to coach me and help me find a property that's right for me based on my criteria, based on the location I want to be, and I pay you. Are you willing? Do you do that service?
Yeah, so it's funny because the app will literally spoon feed you properties you can go buy right now that are profitable, but most investors will see those and still have massive amounts of fear or not enough confidence, and they just need someone to kind of hold their hand through the process and teach them along the way. And so what I kind of imagine is StrIQ is the compass, but sometimes people need a guide along with the compass to take them to where they're trying to go. And so, yes, we do have the ability from a consultancy perspective or a coaching perspective to literally walk with you hand in hand to a successful purchase using the StrIQ technology.
And that service is called STR Find IQ. I'm just kidding. I made it up.
This STR Matt. No, I'm playing. It's
add the extra IQs on everything.
It's I mean, we're not really promoting it, but it's something that we can definitely help support if someone needs coaching on that.
Okay. Excellent. I had another question too, but I forgot it again because I had two of them, and then we went and did all this banter, and then but so yeah, I think that your guys' service is pretty awesome, and I look forward to setting up a live event, hopefully after the new year, once we can all get it together, and then maybe as well you'll be able to we'll be able to get the others on us with you, Brendan and Tamer, and
yeah.
Probably, I mean, because they're both very knowledgeable in it as well, and I mean, maybe we could just help some people, who's looking for a property, and we can spearhead that and see if we can help them find a profitable property in the area they want and do some good out there. So,
yeah, and I think like a fun thing we could do for this podcast too. So, 3 people that reach out to either Austin or Matt after this, I will give away 3 free subscriptions to anyone that reaches out first. So you guys can choose out of those people. And then all you got to do is tell me who they are, give me their emails. They will get access to the app and the comps dashboard for an entire year, which will be awesome.
Damn.
And if they miss the 3-person slot that I was just telling you about, if you use Co-Host Bros 20, you can get 20% off any subscription, monthly, quarterly, or annual. So anyway, 3 free subscriptions for the first people that come to you and you guys select, and then 20% off anyone else that use Co-Host Bros 20. And we can hopefully help a lot more people out there.
We should save those subscriptions for the live shit. I don't even have a free subscription. We got to pay over here, guys. You guys are lucky. That's good. If you can reach out.
That's one benefit of coming to your podcast and listening till the end, is they hear stuff like that.
Yeah, and if you guys are going to reach out, actually just hit us at info@cohostbros.com. It's just easier. Austin doesn't check his messages. He hurts my feelings. So yeah, tell everybody where to find you though, even personally, because I know that you were just blowing up my TikTok. I can't even watch that thing for like 3 minutes without seeing 2 of your videos. So tell everybody where to find you, Mr. Sanderson.
I guess you can find me on TikTok.
That's for sure.
On there, but here I am. You can find me at matt.sanderson@StrIQ.com if you want to shoot me an email. You can reach out to us on our website, StrIQ.com, or follow me on social. I'm available, happy to chat with anyone. I love coaching. I love mentoring. I really love the space. And I'm on my own personal journey towards financial freedom through short-term rental investing. And so I'm doing it, and hopefully I can help a lot more people do that as well.
That's awesome. And he likes to give out free shit, everybody. So make sure you send a snippet of a review with that request. So, hey, man, we appreciate you coming on, and it was a pleasure. It was awesome. I look forward to the live we set up. You'll be the first live event that we'll do to try to help some people. So I think this will be good for the community. And yeah, man, appreciate it so much. And then I'll just let Austin take us out like he always does. So
sounds good.
Peace.
Hey guys, if you could just leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform, that would be awesome. Right now we're running a contest, and we're going to pick winners to get some free Co-Host Bros gear. All you got to do is leave us a review. Doesn't matter what the review is. It could be a 1-star. It could be a 5-star. Just shoot a snippet of it to info@cohostbros.com. That's info@cohostbros.com. And we would really appreciate it. Thank you all for listening.
The Co-Host Bros Podcast.